Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Destiny and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and start working with a contacts page, and in this one we're going to be creating a contacts page, and also we're going to be activating the contact page to make it function like any regular contacts page. So you want to see more videos like this, to make sure to drop a like on this video, consider subscribing, as it will really mean the world to me. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now this is what I have done over here. If I open this up and scroll all the way to the bottom, as you can see, I created some pages over here, and these are for you guys. So this is the one that we're going to be working with, contacts page. Now, all I just did was create a simple view. I called it a simple function. I called it contact, and I simply rendered a template, as simple as that. Now, hopefully you already know that what we need to do is then come over here, come over to core and create a template called contacts HTML. And in the contacts HTML, I configured all this, added the header, added this footer over here, and everything was working perfectly well. So if I open up my browser and come over to port 8000/contacts, I'm going to come over to port 8000/contacts, then we should see a very beautiful looking contacts page. So give me a sec. I want to go ahead. Okay, it's off. So as you can see, this is what we have over here in the contacts page. I'm going to reduce this. So now what we just want to work on is this form over here. So whenever a user fills this form and hits send message, we want to go ahead and send a message and store it in our backend, okay, or in a database, as simple as that. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Firstly, I'm going to open up my model, and you know what, let's just do this in the okay, I would have loved to do this in the user auth. Yeah, let's just do it in the user auth, since we already have a lot of models and views in our core. So I'm just going to open up the user auth app, this one over here, which is this one over here, and I'm going to open up the model. So as you can see right now, we don't have anything in the model. So I'm simply going to create a new model, and I'm going to call this one contacts, okay? Or we just say contact us, something like that. I'm going to pass in models.model. Now we need to pass in some fields that we want. So what fields would you want the contacts page to have? We want it to have a first name, or we can just say this should be full name, email, phone, subject, and message. So I'm going to say full_name should be equal to models.character field, and I've explained this in depthly in the other videos, so hopefully you guys already have an idea about how all this works. So I'm going to say the full name should be, let's say 200. Let's give them the opportunity to put in 200 characters in there. And I think that should be it. I'm going to go ahead and also add up this one. Let's say we need their email, and take note, you can also get this automatically by using the user's email that they used to sign up, and even the phone and subject, you could do that. But I just want to create new fields so you guys would see how all this happens. So I grab the email. I also want to grab the phone. Now for the phone, you could go ahead and change this to integer field, but most of the time I love leaving it as char field, because there are some numbers that you would see that might look like this. Okay, I'm gonna get back here. So you might see some numbers that look like this, +234, right? Now if this plus is over here, it's gonna throw an error. Now there might even be some numbers that have parentheses in them, 456, and there's some that has hyphen 789. So you don't know the number that your client or your customer is going to be using, so that's why you shouldn't put this in integer. Just leave it as char field, okay? Now when we've done that, and for the email, yeah, that should be okay. Now the next thing that we're going to be needing is a subject. So what we could do is just duplicate this one over here. I'm just going to duplicate it just once, and I'm going to change this phone over here to subject, and let's just leave the max length at 200, okay? And finally it's going to be the message, so the message that they want to send to us. So this one I'm going to use text field instead of using char field. So text field is going to give us the functionality to add in more messages, okay, instead of just limiting it to either 200 or any amounts that was specified. So after we've done this, let's define a .str. I'm going to say define __str__, and I'm going to pass in self, and finally I want to return self dot full name. Okay, so self.full name. Now hopefully you already know what this does. This is simply returning a representation of the object in the admin. So when we've done this, another thing that we could do is go ahead and register this in the admin. So open up the admin, and you simply want to import this alongside the user. So I'm going to import contact us, and it's going to look exactly like this. So we could just pass in contact, and you know, if you want to play around with this, it's totally up to you. I could go ahead and say contact us admin. That means I want to extend this admin over here. Now take note to change that to contact us. So what I could do is just copy this, right, and I could just paste it down here and change this user admin to contact admin. And what do I want to play with? Let's say I want to play with their, I want to get their full name, not to play with it. I want to get their full name. I want to get their email, and let's say I also want to get the subject of their message. Okay, yeah, I think this is pretty much it. Let's go ahead and break out from the server, and we're gonna run it again to see if it's actually working, which I think it's working. Now we need to go ahead and say python manage.py make migrations, and also python manage.py migrate. Okay, that's great. Now if we go ahead and run the server again and hop over to our admin section, then we should be able to see a new field over here called contact us. So we can open up this contact us, and we can add a new message. So I'm just gonna fill all this in automatically, and as you can see, this is what we got. For the subject, I'm gonna get rid of this long text and put it over here. Simple as that. I'm gonna go ahead and save. Now as you can see, this is how we saved it in our admin, right? Full name, email, subject. As you can see, full name, email, subject. Now one more problem is this contact us thing over here with a double S. How do we change that? So in the model user auth, remember that's what we're using. We can simply go ahead and define a verbose URL name. So I could say class meta, and over here I could just say verbose underscore name. So verbose underscore name should be equal to contact us. Okay, and now let's get back here and refresh. Hopefully our server is still running. And okay, this is still showing up. Now we need to go ahead and put in a verbose name plural, just like this, and change that to contacts us again. And let's refresh this one more time. Now I'm going to get back here and refresh. Now what do you notice? We got contact us. So that's how you could get rid of double S if you have it in anywhere like this. Okay, now we are pretty much done with the model, and that's thing that we could do is go ahead and work with the contacts form. Now this one over here. So how do we do that? And I want to do that using AJAX. Okay, so a user don't need to refresh the page before they go ahead and drop a contact on our page. Now let's go ahead and do that. So this is the page that displays the contacts, right? Yeah. Now I'm gonna go ahead and create a view that's gonna process the contacts. So I'm gonna say AJAX underscore contact, AJAX underscore contact, just like this. And this should take a request as a parameter. And over here for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and pass. So after we've done this, one thing that I'd want to do is go ahead and grab whatever a user passed in here using AJAX, and I want to display it in the console. So how do we start doing that? Now I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to get down here. This is where we want to work with. Now if I open up my contacts and I look for, let's say I want to look for your phone, because that's an input field. Great, that's what we want. Now let's change up a couple of things. For the action, we're going to be adding something there later. For the method, I'm going to add in a post. And hopefully you already know that Django needs CSRF token to prevent cross-site forgery. You should make sure that you add it over them, or you're gonna get a 401, I think, forbidden error. Okay, or 404, something like that. Okay guys, so when we've done all this now, another thing that we could do is go ahead and add in names for this. As you can see, this have a name email, this has a name, this one is a name, this one is a name email. Now one thing that I'd want to do is go ahead and add an ID alongside all this. I want to also add in IDs, because that's what I'm going to be using to grab whatever the user typed in here. Okay, so I'm simply going to say ID, and I want to call this one name. So the first one is name, but I'm going to change it to full underscore name. Okay, so change that to full underscore name. Even this one over here, we could still change it to full underscore name. And we also got ID. This one should be email. This one should be phone, because that's what we called it in our model, but it doesn't really mean you could call IDs whatever you want. This one is subject. So you want to make sure that you're calling it what we called it over here, so you don't have an error that will keep you running around like headless chicken looking for a way to debug it. Okay, so passing subject over here, and finally we need to pass in message. Okay, and I want to make sure that it's message that I called it. Yeah, and that's message. So when we've done all this, that's pretty much it. Make sure your type is this. Now we could simply write this in our function. So I'm going to open up our function JS, or you can write it below your project, but let me just write in the function JS, to make our code look more neat and professional. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say document dot on click. So on click of what? I'm going to get back to the contact, and over here in this form, okay, we could use on click, we could use on submit, but let's just say I want to give it an on click of contact form. But over here, I'm going to search if something else have got a contact form thing. Okay, as you can see, a lot of them have got the contact form, and that's not what I need. I'm just going to say contacts form AJAX, something like that, and I'm sure none of this, no file would have this contacts form AJAX thing. Okay, so now I'm going to refresh this to make sure that the form still looks great even after changing the ID. Okay, that's it, it's looking good. Now I'm going to get back to the function and I'm going to say dot, instead of on click, I want to change this to on submit. So whenever we submit this form that has an ID of contacts form AJAX, take note, you need to change this dot to a hash or you're going to get an error. So whenever we submit that form, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and log something onto the console. I'm going to say submitted. Okay, so submitted. Now let's run our server once more. Okay, there is a problem. Okay, run your server and it's running. So I'm gonna get back here and I'm gonna remove this mobile responsive thing. And what I simply want to do is go ahead and hit this button over here. I'm gonna get back to the console. Okay, as you can see, it refreshes the page, and that doesn't make any sense because we want to be able to see if this form gets submitted or not. In that case, what we're going to do is go ahead and prevent the default behavior. So I'm going to pass elements in here, or you can pass E, you can call it whatever you want. And over here, we simply want to say e.prevent default. So prevent default is going to prevent the default behavior of a form, which is refreshing the page after it gets submitted. Now, when we do that, when we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page one more time, and we should get back here and hit the send message. Okay, I think it still keeps refreshing the page, and that's simply because let's see what the problem is. Okay, so after passing in e.prevent default, let's just get back here and refresh this page one more time. And you want to give it a hard refresh. Ctrl+Shift+R should do the trick. And yeah, after that, let's go ahead and hit the send message. Now, what do you notice? Submitted without refreshing the page. That's great. Now, the next thing that I'd want to do is go ahead and grab whatever we type in here, whatever the user types in as their first name, your email, your phone. We want to display it over here in the console before we pass it into the server, which is using Django. So we want to go ahead and display whatever the user passed in here as their first name, phone, subject, message over here in the console before passing it over to the server. Now, how do we do that? Remember that in the contacts, we gave all this an ID of message, subject, phone, email, and full name. So we need to go ahead and grab all this in the function JS. And how do we do this? So one of the easiest way that we could do this is to go ahead and define a variable. I'm just going to say let full name should be equal to, then in order to grab it, we just need to say hash, then paste the full name over there. Now we're going to say .val. Okay, so .val is simply going to get the value that the user typed in there like this. Okay, so now when we've gotten this, let's go ahead and duplicate this a couple of times. And we also need email, right? And I'm going to change this to email. We also need full name. Sorry, we need phone. I already typed out full name. Phone. We need subject. We need to get subject. And finally, we need to get message here, message. And I'm simply going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here, message. So now let's go ahead and log all this. So I'm going to say log name. Then over here, I'm simply going to say full name. Okay, full underscore name, and let's duplicate this. This one is going to be, let's just pass in email. That's supposed to be email. Okay, this one is supposed to be phone. This one is going to be subject. Then this one is going to be message. So we need to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to say message, subject, phone. So this is totally up to you if you want to do it. I'm just doing this to show you guys that we grab whatever the user passed in there. Okay, so when we've done this, now let's go ahead and refresh our page one more time. Give it a hard refresh. Ctrl+Shift+R should do the trick. Now we should go ahead and fill this form out. As you can see, we filled it out with all this dummy data. Now if I send message, what do you notice? Name is Riley Rodriguez. As you can see it over here, this is the email, this is the phone, this is the subject, and this is the message. Perfectly well. And the next thing that we need to do now is go ahead and send this to our server using AJAX. So I'm going to say $AJAX, and we need to open up AJAX like this. So if for any reason you're still getting confused with everything that's happening here, don't worry, I'm still going to explain it when we are done. Okay, so $AJAX, the first thing that is going to be needed is the URL where we would send this to. And let's just say we're going to send it to a URL called AJAX. We could just say AJAX contacts form. Okay, AJAX contacts form, something like that. And another thing that this is going to need is data. So what kind of data would it need? Okay, for this data, what we could do is go ahead and grab a couple of things. For example, over here, I'm going to say full name. Okay, let's get back. So I'm going to say full underscore name should be equal to what? then I'm going to pass in full name over there. But there's one thing that we need to do. That's not supposed to be equals, and that's supposed to be in a parenthesis. So this is how it's supposed to be. Okay, now after we've done this, let's go ahead and also grab the email. Over here we're going to have email, and I think I should do all this at the same time by holding alternate and double clicking on each of them. This one should be message there. Then finally this one should be phone, I think. But it's like I mix them up, but it doesn't really mean the ordering doesn't mean, provided everything works fine as expected. I want to click on all this to make sure that there is no typo in the spelling. Yeah, that's it. Everything is working well. Now after we've done this, let's also pass in the data type that we're going to be using, and that's what I think that's JSON. Yeah, and another thing that we would want to pass in here is before send. So before this gets sent, what do we want to do? Let's say something like, okay, let's log on the console, sending data to server. Okay, so sending data to server, and when it gets sent, we're gonna display a success function. So a success, I'm gonna pass in function in there, and this function definitely needs to take in an argument or a parameter. I'm gonna pass in res, or you can pass in response. That's the full meaning of res. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and log sent data to server. Okay, so now that's pretty much it for our AJAX. Let's go ahead and configure the views, then the URL. So over here, what do we want to do? We simply want to say, remember we have full name, so I'm going to call a variable full name. I'm going to say full name should be equal to request.get. Then what do we want to get? We want to get full underscore name. So now we're not getting whatever the user passed in here from Django, but we are now getting it from AJAX over here. Now this full name, the one in red, is the one that I grabbed over here in the full. Okay, so take note of that. Now if you take a close look, you see that everything is linked. So this full name over here, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it burrito, you can call it sandwich. Now this full name is simply assigned to this full name, which is this one over here, which I grabbed using this ID that I gave an input field, and I grabbed the value using this. So if you take a close look, you see that everything is chained together. Okay, so when we've done that, we still need a couple more. So I'm just gonna duplicate this, and for this one we need email, we need what is that? We need phone, we need message, and what else do we need? We need subject. Okay, so we need subject, as simple as that. But you can put this one at the top, it's totally up to you. Now when we've gotten all this, let's just go ahead and create let's just go ahead and send this to the back end, or rather save the form. So I'm just gonna say contact should be equal to, then I want to get the contact us model, and as you can see, it's not imported yet, so we need to head over to the top real quick, and we need to import it from user auth. So we're gonna say from user auth dot models, we want to go ahead and import contact us. Okay, that's it over there, contact us. Now let's head down real quick, and over here we're gonna say contact us dot object dot create. And what do we want to create? We're gonna start off from the username. We're gonna say full name should be equal to what? Full name. Now what does this mean? This full name over here, the first one, is the field that we have in our model. So we want to fill all this field in dynamically, and what we simply say is fill in the full name field with this full name that we are grabbing here from whatever the user passed in here. Use it to fill this field that's in the model. Now I'm going to duplicate this a couple times more. Hopefully you guys know that already. Now I'm going to change this one to email. I'm going to change this one to phone here. I'm going to change this one to, what is it, subject. And finally we're going to change this one to what? Message. Okay, message here. Now after we've done all this, that's pretty much it. We could just go ahead and we could just say something like context should be equal to, then over here let's just say bool, then I'm gonna say true. Okay, and we could even pass in something like message should be equal to what's that? So I could say message should be equal to message sent successfully. Okay, message sent successfully. Now over here, this definitely needs a comma to take away the error. Now when we've done this, we need to go ahead and return JSON, because that's what we're working with. So we're going to return JSON, and just over here we need to go ahead and pass in data, or you could call it context. Over here you could call this context data. Okay, So you call it whatever you want, but you want to make sure that this key, take note, this is a key. Now we want to pass in the value. The value is going to be what? Data. So this key, you could call it whatever you want, burrito, sandwich as usual. Then you could call this data, this one over here. Okay, as simple as that. Now that's pretty much what we want to do, guys. Let's go ahead and see if this works, and hopefully we get an error so we could fix it together. Okay, so I'm just gonna get back here and let's fill this in. I'm gonna give this a hard refresh. Ctrl+Shift+R should do the trick as usual. Then I'm gonna come over here and fill this form in, and I'm gonna hit send message. Okay, so as you can see, it says it keeps sending data to server, and it's never got to this part where it says send data to server. If it gets to this part, send data to server, and you see it on the console, that means everything worked well. For now, it's still hanging. That means everything didn't work well. Okay, so what we need to do is open up this. I think there is an error over here. I'm going to open up this, and okay, it says page not found. That's great. That's because we don't have a URL, and I think that escaped my mind. Now what we need to do is get back here, and we could just configure that below the contacts. Let's just configure it below each other. Now I'm just gonna say parts, and this should come over to, what did I call the URL in the function? What is the URL? Is the URL? This is it over here. So I called it AJAX contacts form. Great. Now I'm gonna get back here, and I'm gonna call this AJAX contacts form. And for this one, I'm just gonna say AJAX. What did I call it again? I've forgotten. So I should get back to the view, and this is it. I could just change this to AJAX contacts underscore form, you know, to stick with naming conventions. Now I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna get back here and simply paste it. And also for the name, you know, we could just grab this one. It doesn't really mean we won't be using the name. I'm gonna paste that over here. So we need to go ahead and import this one, and we can simply import it from contact core.views. Okay, so now when we've done this, make sure to add a comma over here, or you're gonna be getting a comma error. So finally, let's get back here. Let's refresh this. We don't want to do that, but we want to give this a hard refresh, or rather a URL refresh. Just hit on the URL and refresh this. Then I'm going to open up my developer tools again and get down here. Let's go ahead and fill out this form and hit send message. Okay guys, what do you notice? It says sends data to server. That's pretty cool. So now let's check this out to see if there is anything over there. Now what do you notice? We get something, Tasha Morrison, and it fills all this in without refreshing the page. As you can see, Tasha Morrison, it sends it to the data. That's pretty cool. Now another thing that we want to do is go ahead and you know, hide this form whenever we make a comment, or not a comment, whenever we drop a contact. We could just hide the form and say something like message sent successfully. Okay, so how do we do that? Now in the contacts, we need to look for the form. This is the form over here. And what we could simply say is, this is the form. I'm just gonna grab this ID again because that's what we'll be using, and I'm gonna get back to the success function, this one over here, and I simply want to say grab the ID, this ID over here, which is for the form, and go ahead and hide the form. As simple as that. And now when we hide the form, one thing that we'd want to do is this. I could just say down here, let me put a H3 tag, and I'm gonna say message sent, something like that. I just want to see how it looks before we go ahead and fix that. Okay, that looks really big. I don't want that. I'm gonna change that to H4, and you know what? I'm just gonna get over here and give this a simple class. I'm gonna say text-success. Then I'm gonna refresh this one more time. Okay, message sent, that's pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and get rid of the message sent, and we're gonna give this an ID, and we're gonna say message, let's just call it message response. Okay, that's great. Now I should copy the message response thing and get back here, and instead of, you know, typing in message sent like this, we need to do that only when the message gets sent. Actually, that's when we need to do that. So over here, I'm also gonna grab that, I'm gonna paste it. Now I'm gonna say .html should be what. Now you could simply pass in res.message. So res.message is this message that we passed in here. Okay, this message, that's what we called res.message. Hopefully you guys understand everything that's going on. Okay, now I'm just gonna get back here to the function JS. Now alongside, if not the res message, you could manually pass in whatever message you want in here, but let's go ahead and refresh this and see if it works. Okay, so I'm just gonna get back here, refresh, hard refresh, Ctrl+Shift+R. I'm gonna fill out this form again, and I'm gonna go ahead and send the message. Okay, what do you notice? It's closed the form, but it didn't show the message. That's great. Now we can manually go ahead and say message sent successfully. Message sent successfully, as simple as that. Now let's give this a hard refresh again. You should go ahead and open this up, and also I want to hide this email address thing whenever we drop a message. So I'm gonna get back here, and it's in a P. It's this P over here. I could just say contacts us P, something like that. Here, you know, the P tag. Then I should hide it. So over here, I'm just gonna look for the, I think it's a class. It's a class, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and hide it. And I want to confirm again that it's a class before I refresh this page and try it out for the last time. So we refresh this page now, and we fill this form in automatically. Now, if you don't have this extension and you want to use it, the name is file, I think. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, yeah, fake filler, yeah, not filer. So you could download it from Chrome. It's really cool. It helps me, you know, fill form easily. And I'm gonna hit send message. Now, guys, what do you notice? It says message sent successfully. Great. So I think that's pretty much it for this tutorial, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you get back here and refresh, you should still see another thing in here. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. To make sure to drop a like, consider subscribing, as it really mean the world to me. And also, you want to get a template to follow along with the tutorial, check out the links in the description below. They should point you to the right direction to get a template. And until the next video, mad love, peace out.